Alrighty. Hey guys, it is Guillermo, and this podcast today will be a little different. So Adam, my co-host, big drama, guys. Friends, we're never friends again. No, I'm kidding. So actually, he's just been feeling a little sick, and so we thought it was best that we didn't. It doesn't seem to be corona, but just in case, we thought it was best to not get together for this one. And since he's feeling a little sick, I just went off and did my own solo cast for this week. And yeah, that's what we're doing for this week. And so my turn to run the show completely. So it is a political show now, and we're gonna be talking about the greatest and biggest political news of all time. So let's start on that. And I'm obviously not gonna be doing that because that's ridiculous. I am still a nerd, so well, I am gonna be talking about nerd stuff because that's really what our podcast is about. And this week, you might notice a little different, but since I am doing a solo cast, I decided that it would be good to. I see something on the other side. To talk about, or have a game in the background instead of just you guys watching me. I didn't think that would have been that interesting for you guys because I think it's more fun to see people together. It's just I don't think it's interesting just to look at my face. There we go. That's what I was trying to get to. So instead, I decided to put up a game, some gameplay, and I'll be talking about this game. And for those of you guys that are only listening, yeah, let's mention this right at the start. So we have two ways to listen/view this podcast. We have the YouTube channel, which if you look up Twister GA and just look at the first Nerdthings Podcast there, that's how you'll be able to watch the podcast. And if you just want to listen to it, I'll leave a link in the description of this video, and there that'll take you to our website, which has the links to basically every site that we have our podcast on. If you just want an audio only version. Anyways, I was saying, if you are a listener, you don't really have to watch this podcast, but I don't know, I just wanted something entertaining for people watching it to have on screen. So yeah, I'm going to be playing Genshin Impact, and we're going to be talking about. That leads me right into our main topic in this week, and that is gacha games. My life has been revolving around. My life's been taken over by gacha games. Let's just say that. Yeah. Luckily, it's only my life and not my wallet. Fortunately, I have been able to keep away from spending money on gacha games, but yeah, my life is basically so much gacha right now. Um, so let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about gacha games, because they're a big topic right now. A lot of people are playing them, at least in the gaming community, and yeah, let's start with kind of, I guess, if people don't know what gacha games really are. Um, they're a free to play game. They're mostly on the phones and stuff, apps, and they're kind of the system where there's characters that each have their own. So basically, every gacha game has their own little form of combat or whatever, right? And you form teams with those characters, and the cooler, stronger characters are locked behind some form of rolling mechanic, casino-based mechanic, where you have to roll 10, and then hopefully you get the good character out of those 10 rolls. And if you don't, you roll again, and you keep rolling and rolling until you get the cool 5-star character that you want. And this is obviously meant to make you spend a lot of money because you're unlikely to get the good 5-star characters within that 10 rolls, so you're going to have to roll probably 20, 40, 50 times. And of course, it's only with premium currency that you can roll. So that's how the money comes in. You want that cool character, you want that hot looking female character, because that's how a lot of them sell you on, is that hot chick character that's also very, very, because obviously the 5-star characters are always more powerful than any of the other characters. So not only are the most attractive characters behind a 5-star paywall, but also the strongest characters normally are behind a 5-star paywall. And yeah, so this is how you kind of end up spending a lot of money on these type of games. They're just trying to get the coolest characters, the best characters, and just rolling and rolling and rolling. So when I first started gacha, I've always kind of been wanting to get into gacha. hope I described that correctly because I'm playing at the same time. It's actually a little hard. I haven't done gameplay commentaries in so long. Um, but yeah, basically roll for the best characters. Hopefully you get the characters, and there's always like a 0.5% chance you're gonna roll, or no, it's always like a 2% chance that you're actually gonna roll a good character. And yeah, it's almost it's. I'm sure you know what gacha games are. I mean, they're in everywhere. They're in every little. They're in everything. Um, so let's kind of maybe I'll switch up. I don't know if I'm gonna do this, but I might be switching up from games because I started with. I've always wanted to get into gacha games. The very first one that I can remember getting into that was specifically a gacha game is Ishitar. I think is what the game was called, or maybe I have a little thing of it. But for those of you that don't know, it's just mobile game anime characters, anime looking characters. And the combat mechanic was unique in that you had to knock characters up into the sky, and you can knock them up as high as you could. And then with another character, you can some characters can knock people up, some characters can knock people down, and the higher you knock a character up, when you bash them down to the ground, they'll take more damage. It's a little hard to explain the kind of mechanic. It's pretty unique. I like the art style. I like the characters that you could get, and the storyline I think was okay. Gacha games really don't have the best storylines, but I remember it being pretty decently fun. I kind of stopped just because I got bored of the game, but during the time, the great thing about gacha games is that they're free, and during the time I played, I never spent any money, and I had a great time. So for me, the gacha worked out at a good time. But like with all gacha games, I always end up asking myself the question, well, what am I doing this for? Because gacha games are also like a huge time sink. So there's always daily things you have to do every day, monthly things and weekly things. Almost always, every game is starting to incorporate that now. But so sometimes you get to the point where you're like, okay, what's my goal? Because I've completed, in case of Ishtar, almost in case of all these games, I've completed like the main storyline, and I'm like, okay, now what's next? This is just securing the best characters that you can get, and in that case, if I want to do that, then that means I'm gonna have to spend money. So I know I don't want to do that. So what's the next thing? Is it getting as strong as I can? Well, I also probably have to spend money to roll for cool weapons. So yeah, I always get to that point in games where I'm like, well, what's next? Do I just wait for the next event? And then sometimes I just get bored of the game and move on. So that kind of happened with Ishtar, and I think that's the name of the game, if I remember correctly. So I decided, time to move on. Had a great time. I recommend that game for people that are looking for, I don't know, a unique combat mechanic. Get a drink of water. So from Ishtar, I moved on to probably the big game that really secured me into gacha game, which was King's Raid. Now, King's Raid, for those of you that don't know, is kind of a team builder game where you build a team and you get them through a dungeon, and they kind of fight on their own, and what you can do is you can activate abilities. So that's basically where your strategy comes in, is what abilities are you activating at one time, so you're canceling that opponent's ultimate abilities, that kind of stuff. You're fighting against the AI. And so yeah, the big thing from this... Okay. The big thing that you're trying to do in this game is just trying to figure out when you time your abilities, all that kind of stuff. And that was a lot of fun. King's Raid was probably the game that I saw myself basically sticking to as my only gacha game, just because it was so good. And it was a lot of fun. I was actually joining like raid teams, and I was doing like the weekly raids, and I don't know, I was doing everything that you could possibly do in that game. I went on YouTube and followed YouTube channels on them, and I did so much studying on that game, as it was actually kind of complicated, and there was a lot to learn, and I thought that was a lot of fun. So I did all that, and I got a pretty good team. So the nice thing about King's Raid is that the characters themselves weren't what you were rolling for, so you could actually buy whatever character you wanted from the store, and with premium currency, obviously, but you could also earn a lot of that premium currency just through playing the game. So if you did it right, you could basically spend zero premium currency and get the characters you wanted. So there was no 5-star character. There was always a character. All characters could just be bought straight out from the store. So I was like, well, this is amazing. This is like the best version of a gacha game. Is you can buy any character you want, which I'm fine with if it's premium. Although in that case, you had enough non-premium currency that you didn't have to spend money. And the only thing you really had to spend money on was, well, there's two things. There were skins, which I'm 100% with free-to-play games charging you for skins because they're free-to-play. So I that's where I spent my King's Raid money. It was on skin because I was like, I like this game enough that I want to support it through buying things, and that was through skins. So I felt like that was fair. And the second way is you could buy the premium currency to roll for weapons, and that's where the weapons and gear. So that's where the gacha mechanic kind of came from in King's Raid, was weapons and gear. Was it's kind of a pain in the ass because so you got your cool character and now you needed the weapons and gear for that character, which in my opinion is it's good. I prefer having to grind for weapons and gear than characters, because now I got the hot ass character that looks a lot like, reminds me of a, I don't know, a knight from Saber from Stay Night. So I was like, cool, I got the character. Now we just need to spend this premium currency on weapons, and that was alright. The way that you leveled weapons up was you would have to use the exact same weapon. Well, first of all, you would, like every game, you have a weapon, and then you use tons of weapons on it to count as XP. That's where you level it up. But if you want to star it up, which is even increase it even further, you have to use the... Oh, actually, that's only for weapons. Weapons, you use like gems and whatever to level them up. And if you want to power up that weapon, you have to use the exact same weapon to power it up even further, like add a star to it. And there's also a fail mechanic. So let's say you have a 1-star, you have two 1-star weapons, the exact same weapons, and you're like, well, cool, now I can level this up to 2 stars. And I think the second star is like 100% chance you'll do it right. But then after that, like the second star is like a 30% chance or a 20% chance, and the higher you go, it goes down to like 5% chance or something like that. So yeah, that kind of made it. So like if you wanted to level up a weapon from 0 to 30, I mean from 0 stars to 5 stars, you would probably have to spend maybe 30, maybe more of that exact same weapon just to get that 5 stars. And if you're a free player, getting a 5-star weapon, getting an ultimate weapon, like the strongest kind of weapons, I guess a legendary weapon, once is already like really, really hard. But getting that weapon 30 times over is basically like, it's not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. So I was like, well, this kind of sucks that I'll never actually be able to get a strong weapon because I'm not gonna spend money on the game when it comes to weapons. So yeah, getting the same legendary weapon 30 times, pretty much impossible unless you're paying. So I was like, I was a little bummed about that, but I was like, that's okay. My damage was good enough in the game, and I was doing well enough that I was like, I was still climbing without having to spend the weapons, just by optimizing my character's equipment and leveling them up still. So I still hadn't reached the point where I was stuck because I couldn't get more damage unless I got more 5-star weapons, legendary weapons. There were some situations where, like in the story wise, that I couldn't advance just because my characters weren't strong enough. But I was still okay with that because you earn enough of the premium currency that I could roll for a 10-star weapon pack and hopefully get a 5-star weapon or a legendary weapon, not 5 stars because you 5-star them. So that was King's Raid. The combat was a lot of fun. The characters were really cool. The storyline was like, again, whatever. Actually, King's Raid did get an anime. I haven't watched it. I heard it wasn't too good, but I might watch it just because I like King's Raid. But what happened with King's Raid is I was still climbing and I was still getting up. I was doing pretty good. And then they released this patch called the Soul Weapons patch, which is basically soul weapons are like you got 5-star weapons. You got your legendary weapon and it's 5-star. Now you can do a soul weapon, which like further strengthens that weapon. Kind of adds like a JoJo stand to your character. And now you're gonna do so much more damage. It's like ridiculous. The problem with this is like just like the other systems, you had to to upgrade your soul weapon, you needed another soul weapon that was exactly the same to get a star up, and then there was a chance of failure and all that stuff. Even further was that when the soul weapon kind of came out, it could it could take you like 6 months to earn one soul weapon. It was like up to 6 months to earn one soul weapon, and I was like, well, fuck, you need 30 soul weapons to get one soul weapon to 5 star. That's like, well, that's like 4 weapons a month that you can get. So I don't know. That's like 5 years worth of time that I could take. It could take me to 5 star a weapon. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. I'm not gonna be playing 5 years just to get one weapon, hopefully up to 5 stars. And I was like, well, I'm done. And knowing that I had no chance of getting my soul weapons leveled up, kind of killed the game for me. And so there's this weekly like boss raid, and you could see how the higher up you go, the more rewards you earn. And I was doing pretty good. I was in like the top 10%. But after the soul weapon patch came out, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to keep up. So I gave up on that. And I came back to it later on, and I heard that they had fixed some of like the chances of getting a soul weapon had gone up. There was more ways to get it, but at that point I was kind of done with King's Raid. So yeah, unfortunately, King's Raid's stupid soul weapon patch killed my interest in King's Raid, and I was done with it. Even though I liked basically every other aspect of the game, it's just kind of knowing in the back of my brain that I'm never gonna be able to get a soul weapon. Kind of bothered me. And yeah, killed my interest in the game for sure. Because even getting a soul weapon, so here's another problem, is that soul weapons, you can buy a soul weapon for a certain character. You had to roll for a chance to get a soul weapon for that character. So you had to earn shards or tickets, I guess you could call them. And once you earned enough tickets, you could roll. But it was just annoying that you had to roll for a chance to get your character's soul weapon. You couldn't even buy the soul weapon outright. So yeah, that killed my interest in King's Raid, and I moved on. And from King's Raid, I went into probably the best gacha game out there, in my opinion, and that is Arknights. Now, let's go fight some characters. If you don't know, Arknights is basically a tower defense game with anime characters. You kind of put characters down. So there's like a place where characters spawn from, enemies spawn from, and they walk this line towards your base. And basically, like a tower defense, you put characters down, and they have special abilities, ultimates, auto attacks, all that kind of stuff to try to kill the enemies and stop them from getting there. So it's you versus the AI. I've always loved tower defense games. My favorite tower defense games were I don't even remember what they were. There was a bunch of apps tower defense games that I used to play. So I've always liked tower defense, and I've seen an anime tower defense gacha game. I was like, I'm in. And yeah, again, Arknights was amazing. I had an amazing time with it. I felt that the gacha mechanic, which is rolling for 5-star characters, or 6 stars, I think, in Arknights, was really, really fair. And the amount of like premium currency that you get on a weekly basis was insane. So on Arknights, I spent probably $15 total over the course of 6 months, and I got so many 6 stars. So here's the problem that happened with Arknights. I played it for a long time. I played it almost daily for like 6-7 months. The problem with Arknights is that the drop rates were so high for the characters, and the premium currency was so good that I ended up basically getting every single 6-star I ever wanted. I probably had like 10 or 15 6-stars by the end of the game, having only spent $15. So basically, I had every good character you could possibly want in the game, and no part of the game was difficult for me anymore because my characters were so powerful. So in Arknights, the gacha mechanic is really just getting a character, right? You don't level up a character's weapons or anything like that. You just need the character, and if you get multiple copies of the character, sure, they get stronger, but it's nothing that crazy that like would be game changer. So if I got a 1 copy version of I don't even remember the name of the characters. Let me think of a character name. I can't remember any of my characters, but if I got a 1-star version of a 1 copy version of a 6-star character, it really won't change the game if I get a 6 copy version of him or a 1 copy version, basically. Um, so yeah, basically Arknight. Maybe it was just the fact that I had played Arknight for so long, um, they had huge droughts where there was no new content, which kind of sucked. But also, my account was so good, and I'm not the kind of person that like makes new accounts. So my account was so good from the one time that I played it that the game was just too easy. I had the best characters in the game. I had multiple copies of them. I had learned basically every strategy, so yeah, I just had no challenge in Arknights anymore. And yeah, I don't know if that's a problem or not. um, that's interesting to play a gacha game and get so many 6 stars. The game's just too easy. I know it's a strange problem to have, but that's kind of what happened to me. I was just like, well, everything's too easy. I destroy content. All my characters are max leveled. And yeah, I basically completed everything I want. I completed Arknights as much as I wanted because I didn't really care about the storyline. The side stories were fun, but again, like I said, I crushed them. So beating them wasn't really that rewarding, and gaining whatever materials I got for them wasn't a big deal to me because all my characters that I wanted were maxed. Um, so yeah, Arknights. If you want to get into gacha games, Arknights is the game I recommend above all games. Like I said, the amount of premium currency you get in that game is insane. I would say every 2 to 3 weeks you can do a 10 roll, and if you roll, I think it's your first 10 roll, you're guaranteed a 5 star or higher, which 5 stars are already good enough on the game, and you're almost always guaranteed a 5 star at like 50 rolls. I think if I remember something like that. Either way, the chances, and then you can also buy your 5 or 6 stars directly from the shop. So yeah, Arknights is by far the most fun of all the other gacha games on the tablet that I played. The most fair when it came to drop rates, the most interesting, and I totally recommend Arknights. Yeah, like I said, I stopped playing it just because it got too easy, but I had a great time with Arknights, and maybe I'll download it again at some point. But yeah, that's kind of what happened with Arknights for me. I kind of got bored of it, which is okay. Um, After that, I took a little gacha break. I I kind of ended up playing. What's the name? It's not called Cars, is it? The Crew. I started playing The Crew on PC, which is a racing Ubisoft game, and I played that. It's not really a gacha game because you buy your cars directly, but it does have some of the same mechanics that gacha games have, like checking in every day, that kind of stuff. Astronomers. So I played that for a while, and then Genshin Impact came out, and I I was kind of interested. It looked pretty interesting. The world looked interesting. The game looked fully fleshed out, and I was like, well, and it was a gacha game, so I was like, I'll check it out. Um, and I basically been playing Genshin Impact ever since it released, like 4 months ago or 6 months ago, maybe. Um, and, and I gotta say, Genshin Impact is a lot of fun. If you don't know, it's basically you're kind of like a standard RPG where you've got a lot of people compare it to Breath of the Wild. Though I've never played any Zelda games, so I don't know how that is. But you do have a lot of adventuring. You can explore the world, adventure, that kind of stuff. Um, the gacha mechanic kind of comes from rolling for characters. So in this game, you play a party of 4, and each character has their own element, and the way elements combine causes different reactions. And this game has 4 to 5. You have like your 5 stars, which are your best characters, and then everybody else. And I'm gonna start by saying Genshin Impact's drop rates are atrocious. They're the worst of any game that I've played so far. It's not even close. I rolled almost 200 times before I saw my first 5 star. There's supposed to be a guaranteed 90 every 90 drops. I think you you get a 5 star, and I did 80 on one thingy, and I did 80 on the other, and I still hadn't gotten it. No, I did 80 on one, and I did 70 on the second one. So that was, I guess that's less than 200, but it's close to 200. It's like a 150 of drops, and I still hadn't got a single 5 star. And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. Um, so yeah, I uninstalled Genshin Impact pretty quickly early on because I thought the drop rates were like completely unfair. I mean, I had over almost, I think I had over 150 then rolls, right? And no 5 stars. So I was like, well, then this is just like pure like pay to play. Because after that many rolls and still nothing, it's kind of, I don't know. I don't think a game should allow almost 150 rolls and not get a single 5 star. So I uninstalled it because I was like, oh, this is done. And then I saw myself thinking about Genshin Impact like the day after, and I was like, you know what? I really want to play. I really want to play Genshin Impact again. And so I re-downloaded it, tried one more final roll, and I got, if you're watching the character on screen right now, which is Tartaglia, and he's a 5 star character that does water damage. He's really cool. He's really cool in the storyline too. So I got my first 5 star, and in Genshin Impact, 5 stars are just better than any other characters. They're, by far, their damage is higher, their abilities are better, they have more health, they have, every stat is higher. So I got my first 5 star, and he's really good. I don't know if you're watching the video, yeah, I've been shredding everything just because Tartaglia is so much better than all the characters. So Genshin Impact, so it's interesting recommending Genshin Impact because first of all, you have to roll for characters to get 5 star characters, right? And that, like I said, the drop rates are atrocious in this game. Second of all, you have to roll for weapons also. So Ningguang, if you're watching the video, I've got a 5 star weapon for there. Of course, 5 star weapons are just straight up better than all other weapons in the game. They deal more damage. They give you more stats. Their abilities are way better. So yeah, 5 star characters better than everything else. 5 star weapons better than everything else. So you have to roll for those, and the percent chance are like 2% per roll, which are, like I said, way too small. And then the worst part is that Genshin Impact, if you roll multiples of characters, like the benefits characters get in this game from rolling multiples of them is ridiculous. Some of the benefits are like game changing, where like a character is not usable, and then you get 2 versions of them, and you upgrade them. Oh, I thought I heard something. And all of a sudden the character is like overpowered, and so it's like a little hard to recommend Genshin because like it's clearly a game made for pay, like players that just play like whales. As like rolling, it took me 90 to rolls before I could. Okay, here's one final little issue that I have, is that 5 star characters are also limited in time. So if you want to get a 5 star character, so let's say you want to get Tartaglia like I have him right now, you won't be able to because he's only in the shop for a limited amount of time, and they haven't said anything about characters returning to the shop. So basically, you have like a month to roll as much as you can to get as many Tartaglias as you can to upgrade him as many times as you can. So in my Tartaglia's case, I only got 1 copy of him, so that means he's not as strong as he can be. I've seen videos of like full constellation, like people that got Tartaglia 6 times, so they were able to upgrade him because of that. And he's insane. He's doing like ridiculous amounts of damage. Like I would never be able to compete with what they're doing with the 6 constellation Tartaglia. But I didn't want to spend money. I didn't want to spend hundreds of dollars just trying to get a virtual character that high up. So I didn't. And for that, I definitely feel the effects. Some of the current event happening right now is literally an event that's only made for whales, as you kind of, or so if you don't know, whales are basically people that spend money on the game, lots of money on a free to play game. And yeah, the highest difficulties on that event are impossible unless you've whaled on the game, because the damage that you do as a non-constellation maxed level 5 weapon character, it's not even close to enough. Like, no, I don't think free to plays are able to. I don't know if there's a video out there, but of a free to play doing a max difficulty, max maxed everything difficulty level wise of the current event happening. I don't think it's possible. So that's kind of unfortunate. But on the other hand, even though I'm not a paid player, I'm having some ridiculous amount of fun just playing Genshin Impact. Um, I don't know. I enjoy the combat so much. I enjoy the characters. Once you get a 5-star, the game's a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, I'm like split on. And the best part is that you can play co-op. So my little sister plays it. We haven't played co-op together yet, but we might in the future, and that's cool. That's cool that I can play like a gacha game together with my sister. And the fact I'm playing it on the PC because this game is like a full game. It's like a full AAA game, honestly. And to play it on the phone, I feel like doesn't do the game justice. You have to play it on a PC because it feels like a fully done game. So if you were to get this game, it's free. I would recommend check it out, but don't expect to be the strongest person in the game just because if you don't spend money, you won't be as good as you could be. But I don't know. Genshin Impact, it's got me split. If it's actually a good thing or not. But yeah, that's kind of my little short podcast on gacha games. I hope that it kind of made sense as playing and talking at the same time. It's a little harder than I remember it being. But yeah, we were actually able to get like 31 minutes on this podcast talking about my gacha game experiences. Hopefully it sounded good. So I actually got a mic stand or like a little mic arm for my mic. So hopefully that takes away some of the clicking noises. And I thought that was kind of cool that I finally got a mic stand. So you're gonna see that in the video when we do Adam and I get back together again and do a podcast together, and hopefully that'll make a difference in the audio quality because now I've got a what's it called? It's a pop filter. There we go. That way my breath doesn't pop on the mic anymore, which will be nice for the audio listeners. So, yeah, I think I'm going to end the podcast there. A little bit of rambling, a little bit of my gacha history and my gacha game history and my experience with gacha games. And, yeah, so far, Genshin Impact is the game that I've been playing the most recently. And I basically haven't even played like a regular PC game since I got Genshin Impact just because I'm spending all my time on this game. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this shorter than average solo podcast. If you did, I don't know, leave us a rating on iTunes or a comment or whatever telling us what you thought of the podcast. And we're hopefully next week we're able to do a couple more or another one together. And get back to the regular podcast. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. Is next week is Adam hosting, so we'll see what Adam comes up with. But yeah, we also got like an anime review podcast coming up sometime soon. We got to choose the anime together. Maybe we'll choose that next week, and we'll figure out what anime we're going to watch to talk about on the podcast. Anyway, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and leave us a rating. And yep, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.